guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing my labor and delivery story time. You guys asked for me to film this video, so that is why I'm here today, to film it for you guys and kind of give you the 411 of the reality of what went down in the room. I hope I don't forget any important information, but it was like a very traumatic experience. I actually was in labor for 69 hours. So 3 more hours, it would have been exactly 3 days. It was a very intense, traumatic, beautiful blessing, I must say. But it was so intense to the point where I was just like, I don't think I ever want to have kids again. Like, I don't ever want to go through this again. I feel like there are 2 types of individuals when it comes to pregnancy. There is the person who is just like glowing, they love it, they enjoy the process, it's the most beautiful thing in the world. And then there's those other people that are just like, it was miserable, I hated it, I was sick the whole time, it was just not fun for me. And I unfortunately fit in that category. I fit in the B category, where it was not fun for me. Physically, it was just so hard for me. I went through certain complications. I couldn't even eat healthy through my whole pregnancy because Luna would just, I got sick so easily. And on top of that, I went through it pretty much alone. I will say now I've changed my mind. I was so dead set that I would never have a kid again. But now I have changed my mind. Luna is 6 going on 7 months. And I would think about doing it again just because the next time the process will be different if it does happen. And I just want to see if what the experience would be with me actually, you know, having a significant other, whether that be a husband or just a life partner, and enjoying the process and not being so stressed. I would like to see if I would enjoy it. So maybe a second one. I think I would tap out at there. I don't know. We'll see what the future holds. I would love for Luna to have a sibling. I think that would be so awesome. I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, let's go ahead and get right into the story time. All right, it was on this dark, windy, misty night. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so the way that it, the reality of how it went down, Luna was born at me being 36 weeks and 3 days. So she was a preterm baby. She wasn't a preemie. She was just preterm. Full term is 40 weeks, and you can deliver right before or right after that to have a, you know, a healthy baby, typically with no complications. And then anything at 36 weeks is just preterm. Basically, like, they'll be okay, they'll be completely fine, but you don't want to have your baby that early. You kind of you want to go through the full term. So she was born at 36 weeks and 3 days. Prior to that, rewinding back to the beginning of July, Luna was born July 21st, so 3 weeks prior, I started experiencing Braxton Hicks. If you don't know what Braxton Hicks is, it's basically false contractions. It is kind of warming you up into the labor process. I started to experience them the week of 4th of July, and I was just like, oh my God, is she gonna come early? I always had a feeling she was gonna come early. I already knew she was gonna be born in July. I knew she was not gonna make it to August. Her due date was, I believe it was August 9th was her due date, or no, oh my God, when was her due date? Her original due date was like, I think it was August 9th or the 14th. And I just knew it. I knew it in my heart that she was gonna come in July. She was gonna be July baby just like her mom, and we were just gonna run the world together. But anyways, experiencing Braxton Hicks 3 weeks prior, I just started feeling weird, and it was just becoming so hard for me. I was so swollen. I could not wear any shoes at all. If you guys see my last pregnancy video, I think I was like 8.5 months, or I was 8 months. Your girl was struggling. I couldn't even breathe. And mind you, if you live in the East Coast, specifically in the New York City area or right outside of New York City in Jersey, you guys know that driving here is not really a thing. Like, you take a Lyft, an Uber, or you're taking public transit. So it requires a lot of walking. So I had to do that on a daily basis, and it was tough, especially being, you know, alone and living on the 2nd floor. I actually have to go up really 3 flights of stairs to get to the 2nd floor. And it was so hard, you guys. So I feel like that also took into action of why I went into labor a little bit earlier, because I was pretty active. My mom was just like, Luna, you better not come out, because she wasn't supposed to arrive into Jersey the second week of July, and I was just terrified that Luna was going to be a preemie. I'm a preemie baby, an FYI, so I don't know. I thought those two things possibly could have gone in hand. Now we're fast forwarding into, okay, now I'm gonna have to pull up the calendar, because just so I have dates. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, July 9th. My mom's supposed to arrive July 11th. July 9th was on a Monday. I was experiencing Braxton Hicks again. I was actually working from home that day, I believe, and I kept having contractions really close together. Like they were becoming, I think, about like 4 or 5 minutes apart within the 2 hours. I live in Jersey, but my doctor is in the Upper East Side in Manhattan, so it's kind of a journey. It's about 45 minutes to get into the city, and that's just basically with little traffic. So there would have been traffic, it would be a longer commute. I ended up going into the city thinking that I was going into labor because I kept having contractions. They wouldn't go away, and it turns out I was there for a few hours in the hospital and I got sent home because it was a false alarm. So I was like, oh, this is so annoying. They just basically told me, you're just having Braxton Hicks. You know, you'll know, girl, you will know when you start experiencing labor. I was like, okay, whatever, I'm gonna go home. I was pissed about it because I was like, oh my God, this might be it. The only thing that sucked about it is that I was literally alone. Now my mom arrives July 11th and I'm working. I'm not due to leave. I'm not due to go on maternity leave until August 6th. But I was feeling it, you guys. I was mentally drained. I couldn't sleep. I was so uncomfortable. It's the summertime. My body is swollen. I'm going up into the city, going into work. Like, I was losing it, you guys. I was just going crazy. Thank God my mom came in the nick of time, because I was legit going crazy and it was just insane. Now we're fast forwarding to a Thursday, and this is July 19th. July 19th was my 36-week appointment with my primary OBGYN. And I remember seeing her in the morning, and I specifically told her, listen, I literally can't think anymore. I am so exhausted. I am swollen. Like, I just don't feel good. Even when the nurse had seen me, she's like, are you okay? And I'm like, I don't feel good. Like, I felt it. I knew Luna was coming, you guys. I was like, I'm not making it to August. It's just not gonna happen. I knew it. And I told her, I'm like, is there any way that I can please go on my maternity leave as soon as possible? And she kind of looked at me crazy. She's like, well, you know, you want to spend, you know, all that time with your daughter. You don't want to lose this precious time. You know, you don't know if she's going to come early, and by your examination you look like you're okay. If anything, she's probably not even gonna write on your due date. So let's go ahead and figure out a date that if she doesn't come, we will induce you. And I think that was like August 21st, because she was going on vacation the week prior, even though I was like, this bitch is crazy, okay, because I know Luna's coming out. I just know. I knew she's coming out. She sent me to work. She's like, how about you do this? You take a week off of work, try to get rest, and then go back to work, and you go on your maternity leave on August 6th. I was like, all right. So I called my mom after I left. She's like, so what'd she say? And I'm like, she told me to just go back to work. She'll give me a week off. And mom was like, what? Did she not see how you were? You can barely walk. You're struggling. Right? Like, what the fuck? I had my doctor's note and I went into work, and I remember that specific day, it was like reviews time in my job. And so I went in just like ready to give my boss this note, and it was a Thursday. It was July 19th, and I was just going through it. Like, that whole day I was still feeling contractions. They were strong, they were coming in. They basically feel like really excruciating bad period cramps with like lightning bolts. Like, it's just like jolts, and you're just like, ugh. That's how you feel. And they're really, really, really intense. Turns out that days going by, I am training the person that's gonna replace me for work, and she's just like, girl, are you okay? I'm just trying to, you know, make it through. This is hard for me. And I told her, listen, I'm gonna take the week off. You're gonna be fine. You're trained, you got this. but I need to take a week off because I'm literally, I can't focus. Like I can't even think straight. Finally, lunchtime rolls around, we go eat lunch, and I'm just like losing more and more focus, going through more and more pain, feeling these contractions. And I believe it was around 3 o'clock that rolls around, 3:30-ish. And she was just like, girl, are you like not sure you're going into labor? And I'm just like, no, it's just these contractions, it's fine. And literally this is what I'm doing all day. I'm just going back and forth, holding my belly all day, holding the side of my belly all day. I remember just going back and forth and telling her, I'm gonna be fine. Don't even worry about it. Like, let's just get these next couple days knocked out. Just having Braxton Hicks. And she's like, they seem like they're really intense. Like they're just a lot longer. You keep pausing, you can't talk. Like, are you sure you're not going into labor? I'm in my head like, okay, let's start tracking these. Let's start tracking these like the next hour. We're tracking these the next hour, and my contractions are basically between like 2 to 4 minutes apart. 4:30 rolls around and I'm like, dude, I cannot. Like, I'm going through so much pain. I need to go home. I'm walking to my desk. My boss is finally out of his meeting. So I walk up to him and I'm like, I don't want to say his name. I'm going to say Gary. I'm like, Gary, I'm not feeling good. I'm in a lot of pain. Is it okay if I leave an hour early? I just want to go home, get my mom, and I think I'm going to head to the hospital just to make sure everything's okay. I guess the way that I walked up to him, he was just like, are you sure you're not going into labor? And I'm like, no, I think everything's going to be fine. So it wasn't discreet. Everyone started kind of looking over. So I was getting really embarrassed. I was trying to be discreet about it. Didn't work. And I'm like, literally, I'm telling you guys, I'm holding my belly. I'm just like walking. I'm swollen. I was just a hot ass mess, okay? And he was like, I've been through this rodeo 3 times. He's like, I'm pretty sure you're going into labor. He's like, I don't think it's smart for you to go to Jersey during rush hour and then try to make it back to the city. I'm gonna get you an Uber. And I'm just like, no, it's okay. He's like, I'm gonna get you an Uber. My boss was just like, got 2 of my coworkers and it's like, make sure that Elba gets to the hospital. Everything's all good. So we got an Uber during traffic hour. It took us a little while, and like the bumps, sorry my boobs, but I'm like, the bumps on the road, you know, when you're like going into labor is not really ideal. So we finally get into the hospital where I need to be, obviously, and we check in and they're like, hey, you know, how are you doing? You know, because I was just there last Monday. They're like, we see you're back here again. I'm like, yeah, I think this time it's for real. So this is where things starts getting interesting. So finally, I get in, I check in, I finally call my mom and I'm like, Mom, I'm in the hospital. She's like, what the hell is going on? I'm like, I think I'm actually going into labor, so I'm gonna get you a taxi and gonna pick you up and you're gonna come meet me here. And so my coworkers, the girl that's replacing me that's new, is just there with me, staying with me. So they were like the sweetest girls ever though, and they stayed with me, make sure that I was all good until my mom arrived. My mom got to the hospital and we're waiting in the waiting room with a bunch of other women that are either worried for something or that they think they're going into labor. And yeah, so we had to wait a few hours in the waiting room. And I don't know what was in the air that day, but it felt like everyone in Manhattan was going into labor. And I am not even kidding you. It was so insane. So we waited hours to get into another private waiting room. And this private waiting room is just basically to get you checked in. Now you have a bed, but it isn't your actual hospital room. We finally get into a room, and I think this is around maybe 8:30-ish we get in a room. Mind you, I was waiting around, like, probably we got to the hospital at 5 o'clock. So that's how we waited for a few hours to finally get in a room. Finally got checked into a room. So I'm like, good, we're in here. They're monitoring me and they're just like, yep, so it looks like your contractions are very close apart. They're like, wow, they're like, these are really strong contractions. You're taking it like a champ. And I'm just like in my head, like, yeah, I've been dealing with this the last 3 weeks. So it's kind of to the point where you get adjusted and used to it. I guess that's the only good thing about having Braxton Hicks. But basically, so they finally were in the room and I was at this point where I'm like, if they're telling me that I'm doing really good at this point with contractions, then I want to see how far I can go naturally. So time is flowing and the nurses are checking in on me here and there. I'm seeing people come in. I'm seeing women just waiting in the waiting area, waiting to get a private room. I'm telling you, everyone was going into labor that night. It was so insane, and you couldn't even get like a room. And the nurse told me that night, I remember, and I was so freaked out. I think I started crying because I was pissed off about this. But she was like, you might have to have your labor here in this waiting room because we don't know if we're able to, if you're going to be able to get a room tonight. What the fudge, okay? So it was kind of just like a shit show. I wish I could remember everything that went down in the waiting room, and this is like the personalized waiting room where I was just by myself in a little room with my mom, and I had 3 friends that came to visit me to make sure that I was just like okay. I will say one of my close friends, Chris, he is just like a ride or die. He was there 90% of the time. I don't know why he stayed that long, honestly, but he was there, so he really saw me going through it, besides my mom. And I feel like it was just as traumatic for my mom because she saw everything that was just happening, and she was like, this is crazy, you know, in California it's not like this. And I had to tell her, Mom, we're not in Cali, we're in New York City, and this is just like a congested area with so many people, so it's gonna take time. So basically we go from one of the day nurses, and she was like the most sweetest Caribbean lady. Oh my god, I love her so much. She was so freaking sweet. Then we transitioned into a night nurse, and the night nurse wasn't as sweet, I will say that much. So we transitioned into the night nurse. She's checking up on us. She's like, you dilated 1 centimeter. I'm like, okay, because when I got into the room at first, they're like, you're not dilated, but your contractions are there. We're gonna wait it out. You know, we can't really even admit you because you're not even dilated. So we see that you're having contractions, but we can't admit you into your actual hospital room. And on top of that, there is a wait, you know, list for that as well. So finally dilated 1 centimeter, and then I think it was like around 10:30, 11 o'clock rolls around, and they check me again, and they're like, this is through hours of obviously checking of dilation. They're like, you're still only 1 centimeter dilated. How? I feel it, like I feel like she wants to come out. Like, how am I only 1 centimeter dilated? I mean, I have an idea, but I'm like, how am I only 1 centimeter dilated? So I started crying. I remember that night, that Thursday night, I went in and I had like a complete nervous breakdown. And I was like, why are you crying? And I'm just like, I don't know. And I think it was just like, oh my god, shit is getting real. Like, holy shit. I just started freaking out. I had a complete meltdown. 11 o'clock rolls around. She's like, you're only 1 centimeter dilated, and being that you're only 1 centimeter dilated, we're gonna go ahead and we're just gonna send you home. We were just like, what? My contractions are literally 2 minutes apart. How are you guys gonna send me home? And the nurse had told us, just because your contractions are about 2 minutes apart, 2 to 3 minutes apart, because you're not dilated, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going into labor. So, you know, when you dilate more or your water breaks, you have any leakage, come back. I was so pissed, you guys. I was like, I just know when I get home, they're gonna send me home. I know the moment that I get home, my water's gonna break. Watch. I told my mom, watch. So I get dressed, you know, and everything. We finally get home, get in a taxi, go home. We arrive at 12:01. I remember this specifically. We arrived at 12:01 a.m. into my house, and my mom had made some food earlier that day that I like requested. It's called sopa frijole. I don't know. I know Nicaraguenses eat it a lot, but I don't know if other land cultures eat it, but it's sopa frijole, which is basically like a bean soup, but this is specific to how she makes it. So 12:01 gets in. I was just like, I want some sopa frijole with rice, you know, and I forgot who told me not to eat rice, but I did anyways. I was like, I don't give a fuck, like I'm going in, okay, this is going in. So I had my sopa frijole, I ate, and then 12:30-ish rolls around. I'm already done eating, get myself in my pajamas. 12:40 rolls around, turn off the light, getting right into bed, and whoosh, I'm like, oh my god. I remember literally like grabbing my shorts and like running to the bathroom. And mom was like, what happened? And I'm like, my water broke. It literally feels like there's a water balloon in your belly and someone just pricks it and it's just like blah. I was like, oh my god, like I'm literally sitting in the toilet just leaking. And she's like, are you serious? And I'm like, yes. I'm like, I told you, I knew this was gonna happen. I knew it. So we had to order the taxi. This was okay at this point though, because when I went to the hospital, my mom came, we didn't have all of our belongings with us, like the hospital bags and everything. So we ended up ordering a lift, and we were like literally so blessed and so lucky, because I thought the driver was possibly going to freak out, being that someone's going into labor. He was so chill and calm. He was a father, and he was just like, don't worry, everything's gonna be all right. He's like, I actually even know a shortcut to get to where you need to go. So don't worry, just stay calm. He's like, just breathe, everything's gonna be good. He was talking to us the whole time, so it made it really smooth. He drove very, very carefully, drove us to the hospital, popped back in, and I'm like, I'm back. I remember when we got to our floor in the hospital, the security guy, because there's a security guy in the hallway and he checks you in, I passed right by him. Like, I didn't even care. He was like, miss, and I'm like, I'm going into labor. Like, my mom had to check me in with him because I was like, I'm going into labor. Okay, I don't got time to talk to you right now. Like, that's when I walked in and I checked in, got checked back in right into the waiting room, and they're just like, hey, you're back. And I'm like, yeah, my water broke, so I am going into labor. Because this lady was a bitch, okay? I hate to say it, but she was a bitch. I honestly hate to say this, but I feel like I experienced what how do I say this in the nicest way, or like in the best way possible, politically correct, I guess you should say. But I feel like because of my race, I was treated a certain way. And being where I had Luna, it was in a wealthy area where there is a certain demographic, and I felt like I was treated a certain way, point blank, period. But anyways, we came back, we had that nurse, she checked in on us, so we were just in there for hours. I think Chris came back in the morning time, and he was there like a lot through Friday, I want to say. I feel like Friday was honestly really a blur. I just remember being like pissed, like, what the hell, when am I gonna get a room, you know? And just the nurse telling us, you might have to deliver your baby here. Everyone was going into labor that week. It was so insane. I can't even, like, I wish I could have filmed that, even though I was not in the right state of mind. I wanted to film my labor and delivery, but I couldn't, just because it was such a crazy experience. I remember the Caribbean nurse coming back, the day nurse, and she was just like, what are you guys doing here? You guys never got a room? We're like, no, they actually sent us home last night, and we came back, and we've just been waiting for a room ever since. And she saw how much pain I was in. And actually, my primary OBG didn't even deliver my baby. The doctor that did deliver my baby, she was actually really, really sweet. She came in, checked in on me. At this point, like, the furthest that I got was 2 centimeters dilated. And that was probably one of the most frustrating things for me, because when you feel your baby like pushing, you have liquids and fluids coming out, and you're not dilated, it's probably one of the most it's probably one of the most frustrating things that you can go through. The evening time comes around, and I remember our day nurse was about to finally check in, and she's like, I can't believe they haven't gotten you guys a room. So we had told her what we had experienced with the night nurse, because she was already checking in, and we let her know this is our experience, and she's been a complete bitch to us. She's not been the sweetest, nicest person to us, and we just haven't had the best experience with her. And yeah, and being how much in pain I was, how far my contractions were in, she was like, you know what, I'm gonna make sure before I leave that you get a room. Like, you're gonna get a room. I'm just like out of it at this point, and I remember just offering Tylenol, and I was just like, okay, I'll take the Tylenol, because I was in so much pain. I was like, anything at this point that can help. And I think I was just like crying, because I couldn't even take the pain. I'm already like 24 hours in labor, and I was like, I can't even take this anymore. Like, I need to get a fucking room. Finally, I remember hearing arguing in like the hallway area, and I'm just like, what the hell is going on? I didn't think anything of it. And my mom went to go check. She's like, I think they're arguing over you. And I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, I think they're arguing over you. And so apparently what happened was the day nurse got in a confrontation, not a confrontation, but got into a discussion with the night nurse about getting me a room. And the night nurse was like, there's nothing available. And she's like, I just saw someone check out of a room. There is a room available. It's clean. It's ready to go. And the doctor that was delivering me had walked in on this conversation, and she was just like, what's going on? They told her, she's like, no, you're checking her into that room right now. Bitch. Okay. So I remember the night nurse come in and she's like, girl, I just got into it with her for you. We got you a room. And I was like, what? And she's like, yes, you got in your room. You're good. You're going to be taken care of. I'm so sorry you went through all through this, blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, oh my God, thank you so much. We finally get into our room, our labor and delivery room. Yeah. At this point, I couldn't even take the pain. They asked me if I wanted the epidural. I was like, give me the fucking epidural. I remember in the process of getting the epidural, just because of me doing my research, I had a complete meltdown. I was so terrified to get the epidural, but the doctors were so sweet. They were very kind, walked me through everything. I remember when I actually went through the epidural, I was literally still having a breakdown, like literally a straight full-blown anxiety attack. And I think my mom was in the room and like a doctor on the other side, and they're just like, breathe, calm down, it's gonna be okay. Basically what happened, while they're injecting me with the epidural, I have all these fluids coming out and just everyone trying to talk to me. I had tensed up so bad that I, like, the pain that I experienced, I've never experienced pain like that, but I had tensed up so bad that after they finished, like, I couldn't move. Like, I was stiff. Like, I locked in my body so hard, and I think I was just like literally just locked in so hard that I couldn't move, and I was in so much pain. And they just walked me through the epidural. They're like, click this button as many times you want anytime you're experiencing heart deep contractions. I clicked that button so many times and I'm like, this shit is not working. I remember that evening the doctor that injected me with the epidural came in to check on me, and he's like, are you doing okay? How are you feeling? And I'm like, I still feel everything. Like, this is like, I still felt everything. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, I still feel everything. He's like, you're not supposed to be feeling anything. You're not really supposed to be feeling any pain. And I'm like, no, I feel everything. Like, I feel the contractions. Like, I feel her wanting to push through. He's like, I'm sorry, honey, but I think we're gonna have to inject you with the epidural again. And I'm just like, oh my God, you guys. Just at this point, I'm like, I just want Luna out, okay? I just want to like live my best life with her. I just want to get this over with. They re-injected me with the epidural again. Unfortunately, it just did not work. I don't know what it was. I feel like my body just rejected the epidural, but the epidural did not work for me. I felt all of the contractions. I felt all the pain. There was times where I had the doctors come in and just check in because I felt like Luna wanted to come out. And I remember it was around probably 5 in the morning. My doctor came in and she checked in on me, and she's like, you're only 3 centimeters dilated. And I think I had another breakdown, and I'm like, I don't understand. Like, I feel it. Like, I feel Luna pushing. I know she wants to come out. How is this so intense and I am not dilating? It was the most frustrating thing of life. Finally, she's like, we're gonna check in on you again in the morning time. I think it was like around 9 or 10, 11, like 9, 10, and see if you dilate again. And she's like, if you're not dilated again, we're gonna see if you want to still go ahead and keep her in the belly. We do suggest that because you are early. It's gonna be preterm, so we want to keep her in there as long as possible. But then you also have the option of a cesarean, which I did not want to have a cesarean at all. I wanted to go naturally. But also, you know, I am not going to fight the doctors. If that's what they recommend, then that's what I'm going to do. 9 o'clock rolls around and she comes and she checks me. She's like, we're going to do a checkup. How are you feeling? Have you slept? No sleep. I felt everything. I'm still going through all the pain. And I feel so bad for my mom because my mom probably didn't sleep for like those 3 days either. And they check me and she's like, you're only 3 centimeters dilated. And I was literally like, my mom and I were in so much shock because we were just like, how is this even possible? Like, how? Like, we feel it, but I just would not dilate. That's when they checked me in the morning. They're like, we're gonna check you in again around noon. if you don't dilate, I think it's best we just go through cesarean, because you know you're losing a lot of fluids and she's pushing and she's trying, and you know you're not dilating. So I'm just like praying, wishing that, you know, I dilate. Long story short, because we want to get right to the end, it's a long video. They check in around noontime and I'm still only 3 centimeters dilated. Okay, this is on a Saturday, because Friday already passed. We went in through the evening into Saturday morning and Saturday afternoon, and I'm still not dilated. Finally, they're like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I think I just want to go through a cesarean. I couldn't even bear the pain anymore. I couldn't go through it, and I was so exhausted, you guys. Like, mind you, you can't eat when you're in labor, so I'm over here just having ice chips for fucking 3 days, okay? I'm starving. I'm like, I'm ready. Like, let's just do the cesarean. I'm thinking, like, I told them at like 12:30ish that I want to go through with the cesarean. I'm thinking that it's gonna be another few hours. No, they like pop in like, I think 30 minutes later. It was around 12:30ish. So it was like around no more than 30 minutes later, and they're like, all right, we're going in. And I'm like, wait, what? I'm not ready. Okay, like I was ready, but I'm really not ready. They're like, no, we're going into the operating room. We're gonna go ahead and like give you numbing, whatever what they gave me. It's gonna numb you from the waist down, from, you know, basically, yeah, from the waist down, and you shouldn't feel anything. She's like, you will feel pressure, but you shouldn't feel any pain. So they prepped me. I'm over here nervous as hell, like, oh my god, this is happening, Luna's coming. I'm like freaking out. I'm excited, I'm scared, I'm just like a ball of emotions. My mom's probably like, I want this shit to get over with too, but she's really excited. So they finally numbed me down. They got me ready. I remember feeling numb all the way down from my waist down, and they did the whole operation. Luna came out and she was, she was so cute. And I remember as soon as she came out the belly, she started crying right away, which was something that I was like super excited about, because I'm like, I don't want her to be silent. So she came out and I gave her a kiss on the cheek, and they're like, you know, and one request that I actually had, they're like, do you have any request in the operating room, you know, when she's being born? I'm like, I actually played Luna a lot of Al Green during my pregnancy, so I wanted her to be born to Al Green music. So she was born to Al Green, your good old soulful music, and then shit hits the fan again. I felt the pressure when they got Luna out, and I think right after that I started feeling like pain, and they're like, okay, you know, we're gonna do what they gotta do, get the placenta out and sew you up. And I started feeling everything, you guys. Like whatever they were doing, I was feeling it. And I think that was one of the most scariest things and my biggest fears that I would experience. Also, just being under any operating table is feeling what you're going through. And I just remember my mom like telling my mom, I'm like, I feel like what they're doing, I feel it. And I'm telling the doctor, she's like, you feel it? She's like, you shouldn't feel it. Like you should, we numbed you. And I'm like, no, I feel it. And I remember they, because I think it's like through an IV, they inserted whatever they had numbed me with again twice. They did this twice, and I was just like, I feel it. And I think at this point I don't even remember anything. I probably blacked out. My mom said that I was screaming in pain, that I felt everything that they were doing, and they knocked my ass out on anesthesia. Okay, because my mom was just like, they just put the mask over you and you passed out. And I remember her, she said that one of the doctors had took, or a nurse, doctor assistant, whatever they were, they took off the thing, and I started talking again, and they put it right back over me, and I was just out. I was able to see Luna, I was able to give her a kiss and everything, and then after that it was just like nightmare, and then I was out. And then Luna was born. She was born at 1:26 p.m. and even after that, like, I went through the whole baby blues, healing period from a C-section. I commend anyone that goes through that, because that shit is painful. I feel like now that I went through a C-section and the healing process through a C-section and just being under operation and everything like that, I'm like, I can do anything. Okay, I feel like Superwoman. Yeah, she's just, I just love her. She's completely saved me from me. I said this in the last video. She's just made me look at life so differently, and such the biggest blessing. I was so scared that I was going to go through a long time of, you know, postpartum. I just got out of being in like a funk not long ago. So and one of the reasons why I haven't filmed. But yeah, that is my labor and delivery story. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I mean, I didn't enjoy it, but it's a good story to tell just because it was so insane. And it may not even sound insane me explaining it, but being there, anyone who was there, anyone who experienced it with me knew how crazy my labor and delivery was. Me and Luna went through it. This is my baby. If you haven't seen her, what's that? What's that? She's so confused with the lighting and the camera and everything. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed my labor and delivery. She's trying to get my phone right now. Just remember to give this video a big thumbs up if you guys enjoyed this story time, and subscribe if you're new to my channel. Say bye, Luna Bill. Luna, say bye. Say bye. And we will see you guys in the next one. Bye.